For years, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Tetfund, has been making giant leaps in human capacity development for the benefit of Nigeria's public tertiary institutions, apart from its laudable direct interventions, making our apex schools conducive to learning. The fund's unalloyed support for academic and non-academic staff training, research and development, seminars and conference attendance locally and overseas, to mention a few, are all geared towards bringing our tertiary institutions in line with the latest education offerings obtainable in the advanced economies of the world. As a further build on its resolve, Tetfund has decided on expanding the frontiers of academic partnerships and cooperation with countries and institutions in the United Kingdom, Belgium, other countries in Europe, Asia, and the Americas in the areas of academic staff and training, research and development, agriculture and information communication technology, ICT.
With regard to the visit by the UK envoy, I want to tell you that Tetfund is always ready. We have a good structure on ground, and we have a seamless operation within the fund. It's completely organized. It's an organized agency. You will agree with me that over time, from inception to date, we have sponsored over 35,000 scholars across the 244 institutions that benefit from Tetfund. 35,000 is phenomenal, you know. And we've expended about 182 billion naira. It's a huge sum of money. ASTD is always ready, and we have been having MOUs and collaboration with institutions, particularly outside the country. And we have been having collaborations with different consortiums and entities. When it comes to MOU or collaboration, we have ASTD, Academic Staff Training and Development, and we have research and development centers of excellence. So we deal with the scholars component, while R&D deals with the research, innovation, and centers of excellence component. Let me mention a consortium like FARA, Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa. We have an MOU with them, and they serve as a link between Tetfund and the Brazilian government, you know, whereby about 40 universities in Brazil open a window for us to bring in our scholars. Right now that I'm talking to you, we have about 120 students from Nigerian universities, you know, polytechnics and colleges of education, that we have sponsored to go to Brazil and study masters and PhD, you know, in agri-related courses. Right now they are there. So it's a big achievement. And it's not only FARA. We have with Morgan State University, whereby we sent about 120 students to go and pursue their masters, PhD, and postdoc. Okay. Postdoc. About 5 billion naira, you know, expended on Morgan alone. Morgan State University in the US, in the United States of America. So we are doing a great job, you know, and the structure on the ground, I believe, is strong. And whatever collaboration we have with any entity in terms of scholarship, I believe we are going to deliver it.
The United Kingdom and Nigeria have set plans in motion for a collaborative venture that would lead to an improved and sustainable transnational cooperation in tertiary education. The Executive Secretary of Tetfund, Architect Sonny S.T. Echono, harped on this when he played host to a high-powered British delegation in his office led by the Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. Ben Lewin-Jones, and the UK Government International Education Champion, Professor Sir Steve Smith. The Tetfund Chief Executive highlighted the areas of collaboration being sought, and they include research and development, information and communication technology, academic staff training and development. According to him, the fund is looking at the establishment of Tetfund Centers of Excellence, mega research grants intervention, entrepreneurship, among others, all in a bid to ensuring Nigeria's tertiary institutions become the drivers of technological advancement, growth and development for the nation at large.
This is the first area we're going to be asking you for support and partnership. Over the years, and we've seen that anybody who has anything to do with the UK will know that the strength of your economy, in fact, the reputation of the country itself is driven largely by the quality of your tertiary educational institutions. Everybody talks about Oxford and Cambridge all around the world, and the quality of those you produced over time, who are not only serving in the UK, but also in various countries around the globe, gives you that stature in international affairs, and it also supports your economy. So we believe that tertiary education should play a similar role in our country. First, support the national economy through research and development, new ideas, new products, services, innovation, being the hub where ideas, these improvements are cultivated. And also, we are promoting a linkage between our academia and industry, because we believe even the funding for research to government alone will limit the scope of the operations. So we believe if we create these linkages and we are able to make our universities, in particular, even the polytechnics, relevant to these firms and our industry, there will be this symbiotic relationship of you, one being the hub for creating ideas and supporting those industries with innovations, with improvements in their processes, their services, their products and offerings. And they in turn will want to fund these institutions to be able to continue to do so. The second area is in the area of ICT. We all know what the world has become right now, and digital literacy has become increasingly important. During the COVID era, for example, most institutions have to rely on a digital mode of delivery. E-learning became more, even those that do hybrid mode essentially had to move into the ICT mode because of the challenge of being able to meet and the lockdowns that we experienced. So we believe that we can promote digital literacy. We have a whole number of activities we are doing in each of these areas. First, we are developing the capacity of our workforce in that area so that they become more nimble and IT savvy. But we also want to have the infrastructure so that in all our institutions they can access data, operate in real time. We are encouraging them, developing their capacity. Some of them are not only teaching online, they are even conducting their examinations online now. And then we are digitizing their thesis process, trying to create a national repository. And the third area is on academic staff training and development. Over the years, we've trained more than 37,000 staff, both at home and abroad, to acquire higher degrees. This is just dealing with only those acquiring higher degrees of masters and PhDs across the globe. But we know we're never going to be able to do enough or do that volume to keep pace with our needs. So we need this partnership to try and see as much as possible how some of that can also be done at home and how we can bring the resource persons here or create the environment for it. Because the challenge we face currently is the issue of the exchange rate. It's becoming increasingly difficult to sponsor so many candidates when you're having to pay a huge amount of or deploy a huge amount of resources.
The UK education champion Professor Sir Steve Smith lauded Tetfund on its achievements and declared the country's readiness to partner Nigeria for a more inclusive cross-national education that will be symbiotically beneficial to the two partner nations. According to Professor Smith, the United Kingdom is ready to help in pushing the ambitious plan of the federal government of Nigeria to develop a plan to improve trans-border education on a sustainable basis and for the long term. He reiterated the imperative of expanding learning frontiers wherein institutions in the United Kingdom will partner with Nigerian universities in a robust and an all-inclusive educational cooperation.
We are here really to work out how we can develop a partnership. And if there's one word, probably the only word that really matters in everything I'm going to say, it's the word partnership. We're not here simply to try and recruit students. We're not here simply to talk about how the UK does things. We're here because we think, looking at the ambitious plans that Tetfund and the government have for higher education, that there are ways we can work together and learn from each other. I mean, we want Nigerian students to come to the UK, but the numbers here are so vast that the only way we're going to work together is by partnership between institutions here. We also noted, particularly, Executive Secretary, your focus on the research aspirations. And we had a very good discussion, I think, on that. And so one of the things I want to follow up on is how can the United Kingdom's universities develop long-standing, sustainable partnership relations in research. It's not going to be an immediate win, but if you look at the position of Nigerian universities in the World League tables, the one guaranteed way to improve the standing of both sets of universities is to have significant international research collaboration, and we're very interested in how we can do that. So, two main purposes of the visit. One, to try and start that process of how we partner UK and Nigerian institutions around TNE. That has the great potential benefit of a more inclusive educational system, which in every country in the world that I work on is the central problem. You can get a small group to go to universities, but how do you extend that to the entire population? And technology and transnational education looks a good way. And the second thing, of course, is given your centres of excellence, your very impressive centres of excellence program, how can we identify partners, and not just for those centres of excellence, but also for institutions in Nigeria that have strong research bases, and we need to find a way of linking those to the UK.
Belgium-based Ghent University has also come calling, seeking partnerships with the Nigerian universities on research and development as a precursor to identifying problems in the Nigerian academic space with a view towards proffering the right solutions to solving them. Director of Internationalization, Ghent University Professor Guido van Heilenberg made this known when he led a delegation from Belgium to Tetfund and noted that the collaboration will be a great fit for both countries. Heilenberg hinted that Ghent University also awards scholarships to students, but that spaces are usually limited due to the huge number of applications received yearly, but stressed that they will work with Tetfund on areas of collaboration aimed at accommodating more Nigerian students.
We have also the honor of receiving every year already 50, 60 Nigerian students, and we see that Nigeria has a lot of potential. And we are also doing, especially also Professor De Sager, who is here with me, and Professor Heide, who is also here. We are already doing some projects with universities here in Nigeria, and we have seen the potential of doing research and education with and in a partnership with Nigeria. And therefore that we said, okay, let's go with a delegation to Nigeria and see, first of all, on the ground. For me, it's the first time to be in Nigeria, to see on the ground what is happening. And secondly, to try to convince Nigeria that we are a very good partner, and we hope that indeed that we can find a partnership both with the individual universities, of course, but also with the Tetfund and with other, eventually other donors, in order to unlock the potential of Nigeria, because we are convinced that in a partnership with a university as Ghent University, we can really unlock your great potential. We have really great students here, and so that's why we are visiting here. We have to apologize our ambassador. He was yesterday with us, but unfortunately today he could not be with us. So we are really grateful that you receive us, and we hope that we can find common ground to find a partnership.
Responding, the Executive Secretary, Architect Sonny S.T.H. Schöner, spoke on the core mandates of Tetfund and maintained that various areas of cooperation with Ghent will be explored.
Tetfund was established by the Nigerian government to meet certain responsibilities in the education sector, and we are engaged in the provision of facilities and infrastructure. We also carry out academic staff training for the scholars who work with our tertiary institutions. So basically, we train some of our personnel for master's programs, for PhD programs, and also for postdoc research. The second aspect of our mandate is to engage in and promote research, with particular emphasis on applied research. And for this also, we also encourage collaborations across our institutions with foreign institutions, and also amongst the faculties, personnel doing collaborative work with other scholars from other institutions across the globe. So over the years, Tetfund has built partnerships also with a number of institutions, the type that you described, where we are guaranteeing a minimum number of scholars, and in return for which we are getting some forms of discounts on tuition and other waivers. We also get facilitation from the embassies and issues about visas. And we believe that it's easier for us to collaborate with some key well-rounded institutions like yours, rather than spread all our resources too thinly across so many institutions. In the last year or two, we are now focusing on core partnerships.
The Tertiary Education Trust Fund recently inaugurated a steering and coordinating committee for its thesis digitization project, the first of its kind in the life of the fund. A study commissioned earlier had shown that the few existing repositories are not readily accessible to a national or global audience. For example, the National Research Fund, which Tetfund manages, has accumulated several high-quality research papers over the years, but they are lodged in only a few repositories around the country. The terms of reference of the committee are 12, but can be summarized into 3.
The terms of reference are about 12, which is a bit lengthy, but we can wrap it around 3 main core areas. The first being that to provide an enabling policy, to provide IP rights standards, provide standards for reward system, standards for a strategy, digitization strategy that will see all institutions be at the same level in terms of what they are doing, and also that everybody that is a stakeholder in this process is involved, and whatever issues that can come up with regards to intellectual property is dealt with regards to reward, to what is your input is also dealt with. The second part deals with monitoring of the process to ensure that proper things are put in place, that whatever format is used is a format that will give us the standard that is recognizable worldwide. The third looks at the framework and the technology that will be used to ensure that at the end of the day, we are making use of emerging technologies in ensuring that the repository that we put in place will meet up to international standards and standards available worldwide.
Explaining the rationale behind the move in his inauguration remarks, the Executive Secretary, Architect Sonny S.T.H. Shuno, said numerous research outputs are lying dormant in the country's libraries, and as a result, the need for a National Academic Research Repository (NARR) or a National Knowledge Bank (NKB) became quite imperative.
The need for a National Academic Research Repository or a National Knowledge Bank became imperative given that numerous research outputs were lying dormant in our libraries. Worse still, the few existing repositories were not readily accessible to a national or global audience. For example, the National Research Fund, which Tetfund manages, has accumulated several high-quality research papers and findings that can only be found in a closed repository. The Board of Trustees of Tetfund, in a bid to redress this situation, initiated the digitization of this project, tasking the Executive Secretary with shepherding a centralized mechanism that will form the basis for storing the materialized academic outputs in electronic form. Also, which will be federated across all beneficiary institutions of the fund. And following on this mandate, management approved a consultancy which conducted various interactive sessions and surveys over a period of 9 months to identify how academic postgraduate students are stored. So today, we are here to lay the foundation for a National Academic Research Repository.
Responding, the chairman of the Digitization and Coordinating Committee and Secretary General of the Committee of Vice Chancellors, Professor Yakubu Ochefu, extolled Tetfund for initiating the project, noting its intervention in thesis digitization is timely and a clear testament that the fund is always in tune with the needs of tertiary institutions. He pledged that the committee will do its best to deliver on its mandate and expressed members' gratitude to Tetfund for giving them the opportunity to serve.
Let me first of all thank and celebrate Tetfund for initiating this project. It is a clear statement that the fund is in tune with the needs of tertiary institutions across Nigeria. Ultimately, this project will deliver the largest amount of knowledge, cultural and scientific content for all categories, including all the needed content for our students of our universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. The unique quality of this project is the composition of the Steering and Coordinating Committee. On behalf of the Steering Coordinating Committee members, I thank you for the opportunity to serve our nation in this capacity. Our members are persons of integrity and passion for their respective callings. We assure you that we will deliver on this assignment.
The Digitization and Coordinating Committee, which comprises stakeholders and knowledge experts in various relevant agencies, are drawn from the National Universities Commission (NUC), National Board for Technical Education (NBTE), the National Library, and the National Copyright Commission. The Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Fund, Tetfund, Architect Sonny S.T. Echuno, has bagged the first Forum for Agriculture Research in Africa FARA Medal Award. He received the honor at the Extraordinary Steering Committee meeting of the Agricultural Research and Innovation Fellowship of Africa, ARIFA, in Accra, Ghana. The fund has supported close to 100 fellows admitted from plethora of Nigerian academics to undertake bespoke Master of Science programs in various fields of science with an agricultural bent in identified Brazilian universities. Architect Sonny S.T. Echuno's salutary contributions to the development of agriculture since his days as the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and his quest in getting the Technologies for African Agricultural Transformation TAAT, an initiative of African Development Bank, off the ground has been widely recognized. The future certainly looks bright for the nation's tertiary institutions, various strategic partners, and numerous other stakeholders, with the burgeoning initiatives being unfurled regularly by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, now dubbed by many as Nigeria Tertiary Education Interventionist in Chief.